Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Homesteading Kitchen. Today I am processing quince. I picked these up from a neighbor who was putting them out by the road, extra crop harvest, and basically I have never had quince. First I thought that they were an apple or a pear. I had been driving past this tree for a long time. I actually Googled imaged it, and yellow pears came up, Asian pears, and after more searching, I found a real good representative of one that looked like this. It basically looks like a yellow pomegranate with the way the top sticks up, but it's always got the little leaves or blossom end intact. So some of these are bruised or damaged. This is actually the coloring of the fruit. When you peel them and cut them, they don't turn brown like an apple or a pear. They actually turn pink as you cook them. And these are essentially inedible raw. I decided to try to blanch them. So let's go ahead and do that. They have kind of a waxy feel to them. And it was on a pretty high traffic roadside, so a lot of dust was sticking to them as well. And just washing them into the sink wasn't really cleaning them. So we're going to run them all through and see what we come up with. This is just the color of the flesh. It's not a bruise. It's not rotted in that section. So they're very peculiar fruit, but you can see that fuzz on there. That's like that waxiness sticking to that. So you actually have to peel these and cook them for about 40 minutes and cutting out the cores. They say they're real hard to cut. So I thought peeling them might benefit from some blanching. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and maybe it'll make it a little bit easier. So I've got some boiling water on the stove, and this handheld strainer works really good for blanching. Now, I've got some bad spots in here, obviously, but I can't cut them out really until after I've blanched them. We're blanching them to get the skins off. So what I'm doing is dipping them in the hot water, and it's about 30 seconds. I have found a lot of people say 30 seconds, and the skins don't come off when I've done that. So that's why. They want to float around, and it's really hard to kind of hold them under. So just do the best you can. Try to rotate them around. You don't want to do them too long because you're going to cook the skin. And see, that color is changing very quickly. They're becoming a more intense yellow. Now, obviously that's longer than 30 seconds, but I've seen a color change. Look at how much brighter that is. Now you just immediately dip it into your cold water, and that will help those skins slip off. So I'm gonna go through here off camera and get the entire batch blanched. I actually got a couple of different vegetable peelers, just an old-fashioned style, and it does a real good job with like potatoes or carrots. These can be hard to peel, so I have my Farberware out. This I have had around for a long time. I probably picked it up at the local supermarket. I've often, from holding the fruit, caught my finger on the end of this, so I know it's sharp. It'll take your fingernail right off. So we're going to go ahead and just peel these like this instead of with a knife, because that's a real thin flesh. Now, after blanching them, when you do like pears or peaches, the skins slip right off. This is not. It is staying right intact. I'm pushing quite hard with my fingernail. This is what it looks like cut open. So like I said, that will turn brown. And at first I thought, oh, it's just rotten fruit. Well, you can see these are organic. You can get damage inside of them from bugs or whatever, but you have to find that pit or seed core and get it out, because it's real stringy and hard. It's kind of almost like a peach pit right in there. All that will come out, and then these will get cooked in a medium or light syrup of honey. You can do like half sugar, half honey, or if you don't like the flavor of the honey, we have our own beehives on site, so we generally go ahead and switch out all the sugar with honey or maple syrup with that. And I reserved all of my syrup from doing apples last week, so we're going to go ahead and use that up. So this is it totally peeled. And I don't know if you can see that. It's very fibrous. So we're gonna slice it. I've got this serrated IKEA knife, and I picked this up at a thrift store at the beginning of the canning season this year. Oh, that doesn't cut terrible. It's not bad. So I'm gonna cut it just like how I do my apples. And then I've got another shorter knife that I really like to use. So I've just got these J.A. Hinkles, I think is what it is. And I'm just going to cut that out. We'll give this to the chickens. See, just like that. So we're going to go ahead, go through all of these. See, there's that little bit of seed right here. And some of that center pith, you would call it. Take that right out. Now you can save as much out of that as you want. But real interesting fruit. This is new to me, and it's always good to try new things. We actually end up foraging for a lot of our food because why not? It's a great way to fill the pantry. The home that I got this from, it was the only fruit tree. No other apple trees or anything like that. Very unusual. So you can see how this can be a bit slow. Yeah, see, that gives me resistance right there with that pit. When I say pit, it's not a hard pit like a peach. Pith would be the right word. So I got some bad section there from being organic, wormy, whatever. There's nothing inside of it. No live worms. I've had worse. I've had worse apples. Our orchard at home is fully organic. This is a nice thing to do on an early morning because this is going to cook in that syrup for that slow cooking. So I'm going to go through, work on these, put them in the syrup to cook, and go about my day of milking the cow and everything else. So join us back here at the stove for cooking the syrup. So this is my leftover syrup from doing pears and apples last week. And you can see I just dated it. I'm going to put this right in the pot and let this start soaking while I continue to cut out the cores. And hopefully that will kind of help it bring on more flavor. So the taste of this fruit is kind of between an apple, a tart apple, and a pear. It kind of tastes like an underripe plum is the best comparison I can give you. So I'll probably need more syrup beyond this. You can look up on like USDA canning recommendations for what kind of syrup to do, but this works out really good for me to just do it in a light syrup. We try to reduce as much sugar in our diet as possible, and I found with this fruit, if I quarter it, it's a little harder to get that pith out of the middle. So it really works best for me to do wedges, just like when I do apples for the kids, because then I can get right into that center a lot easier. So I'm just keeping at this and continuing to put this in my pot. And the idea is that you're poaching these. So a lot like poached pears. And my chickens, the skins are real thin. I was even wondering if you could use one of those mechanical apple peelers to do that, because that would really save this cutting out at the same time. And you know, That's immediately with the color change. So you kind of have to note where your bad spots are as you're going. But it worked best for me to kind of assembly line this, so I'm not picking up and putting down my knife over and over again. So I did a bunch of peeling, filled up my cutting board, switched to my white knife for portioning them out or slicing them, and then switch to my paring knife for doing this. So I'm going to keep at it, get these cooked, and then I'll meet you back here for canning. In the meantime, while you are poaching for the 40 minutes, get your canner set up. You can see all my other canning videos on getting your canner set up, because you want those jars sanitized, hot and clean, lids and bands all ready to go, and it'll make it all much simpler of a process. Okay, so here are my quince after poaching. And we are going to water bath can these just like you do pears or apples. They are going to go in the water bath canner for 20 minutes. I have been leaving about a 1/2 inch headspace. And I'm just putting on the lids and bands right now. If you are interested in canning and don't know about it, watch a separate video. A lot of my early canning videos this season, I went more into detail about the actual canning process. So these are looking great. We did a sample of them. This was our first time in our lives having quince. Very delicious. So these poached for 40 minutes, and now they're going to water bath can for 20 minutes. Their acidity level is in the middle of the road. You can Google it, between pears and apples. So they're good for water bath canning. They don't have to be pressure canned. So we're gonna go ahead and set this for 20 minutes. Something I didn't know long ago in canning is that it's actually recommended after your timer goes off to let it sit for 5 minutes undisturbed, turn the water off, turn the heat off the water, then pull them out. So I've been doing that in my last couple batches, and I've had no fails in jar sealing. So I hope that tip helps you. I don't know if it's actually affected my canning or not, but every little bit you can save is helpful. Especially since I'm doing this fruit in big chunks, I'm using the wide mouth lids and the wide mouth jars. These are about $1.50 more per pack of 12 than the regular mouth lids. And I tried another brand this year called Pure that I found at Menards, and I did not like them. So a nice bonus in this process is this quince syrup. It's the honey, some water, and the quince juice. You can actually add pectin to this and turn it into jelly. So I didn't have any hot water going. We do wood-fired hot water in our house. So to quickly heat some jars for your second batch, you can just put them in the microwave. I like to fill mine partially full with water. I don't like to put empty plates or jars or anything in there. And this is going to sanitize them, so we're going to go ahead and put this in. I've heard people saying a minute. I'd like to give it a couple of minutes, because if I heat up like a cup of coffee from the refrigerator or anything, it's usually going to not get hot until about 3 minutes. You know, I don't know what wattage this microwave is or what yours would be, so I would just do it so that it's very hot water inside of it to know that it is heated and sanitized. So I'm not actually doing a second batch. I am doing the quince juice into jelly. So I've got 2 packages of pectin, and this is a liquid pectin. I figure I probably have at least 8 to 10 cups of juice available. So 2 pouches. I want to make sure that it's going to set and be usable and not runny. Sometimes in the case that you do end up with jelly that doesn't set, it's really good syrup on desserts, ice cream, cobbler, and things like that. And it's also really good as the sweetener in your smoothie. So we're going to go ahead and add these pouches and bring it up to a boil. So you can see here, I'm just following the recipe for apple and crab apples because apples and pears are all about the same. 5 cups of prepared juice, and I figure I have 8 to 10. So it wouldn't set with 1 pouch, so that's why we're doing 2 pouches. Following the instructions up here, we're bringing that juice back up to a boil. Then we'll add the pectin, bring it back to a boil for a minute, and then start canning it. So here I'm down to about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch. I don't want to can this last bit. We'll use this tomorrow. Just because it's late and I don't want to mess with filtering it, I let this set on the stove today so that I could do some other things. But this is ready to go in the water bath canner. This one is just set out with a plastic cap so that it can cool before it goes into the fridge. Remember, clean the tops, do the lids and bands. Okay, so now we're going to let this get back up to a boil, and we'll set the timer for 5 minutes. And just to save myself from getting up again, because I'm getting tired, we're going to go 7 minutes. There we go. Jellies, 5 minutes. Jams, 10 minutes. So here is our beautiful canned quince and our quince jelly. I hope this video helps you and inspires you to do some cooking. Get out there, find some quince this fall, and get them harvest. Thanks for watching. Now my quince are on my pantry shelf, and I feel confident that we're not going to run out of supplies of foods for the winter. We're pretty well stocked. I still have some more open shelf space, so we're going to work on some pie apples today.